Everwind is a survival game where you fly around on a customizable airship and explore floating islands. It's first person, has RPG elements with skills and combat, and you can play this solo or with friends. The whole thing takes place in a sky full of islands at different heights, and your main progression comes from upgrading your ship to reach higher areas. The big selling point of this game is that your base is not stuck in one spot. It's an actual flying ship you pilot between islands. This massively changes how exploration feels, since you are constantly moving your entire setup to new areas, instead of heading out from a fixed home. The game leans into this by making islands varied enough that you want to see what's on the next one, whether it's a dungeon with better gear or new items, or a new biome with different resources. It works pretty well at keeping you engaged, though the appeal mostly comes from that basic exploration rhythm, rather than any particularly unique mechanics. The building and crafting systems are functional but not groundbreaking. It's more about the setting and how everything connects together. The game opens with you in a tower that has some useful stuff laying around. Crafting stations like anvils and furnaces. These can actually be picked up as items instead of just being permanent fixtures. There is a small boat outside that also breaks down into an inventory item. The starting area has some hidden spots with materials too, like a secret room under the stairs. The game's main hook is building and flying an airship. You find a wrecked one early, and scan its parts with the compass to learn how ship components work. Ships essentially need 4 core parts: a cockpit that lets you claim and control it, an energy generator, a wooden engine for movement, and a balloon for lift. These get crafted from basic materials like wood, rope made from plant fiber, and copper ore. Once you've got everything built, you place it all on an abandoned airship hull and connect the parts with pipes. That generator burns wood as fuel, and the engine pushes you forward. Your ship becomes your mobile base. The world has full destruction and building, so you can expand the deck with blocks and arrange everything however you want. The ship core has an upgrade menu where you spend materials to increase max speed, ship size and altitude limit. The altitude matters because higher islands have tougher enemies and better loot, but you can't reach them until you upgrade. Exploration works by flying between islands and landing to search them. Islands have different biomes: tropical, desert, swamp, each with specific resources. Your compass has a scan mode that highlights points of interest, and it switches to a spyglass that zooms in and shows whether you've explored a place already. The compass also works as a teleport back to a ship when you are done looting. The actual combat is first person with swords, shields, bows or magic staffs. There's a blocking system and a parry timing mechanic. Most enemies so far are skeletons and archers, with stronger elite versions mixed in. The islands have ruins and dungeons full of enemy groups and traps. Dungeons can get pretty challenging with multiple rooms and encounters. The spyglass can also help here, since it can spot islands that have large dungeons. These usually have good gear drops. The skill system splits into 3 trees: warrior for combat abilities, alchemist for potions and magic, and engineer for utility tools. You can put points anywhere, regardless of what you're focusing on. The food is purely for healing, not survival. You don't have a hunger meter or anything like that. Bleeding, on the other hand, is a status effect that can happen from damage. The resource gathering works like most survival games: chopping trees for wood, mining rocks for ore, collecting grass for fiber. The different biomes also have unique materials. For example, the tropical islands have a specific wood type needed for certain crafting stations, so you need to hunt down particular environments sometimes. The game has sky towns with NPC shops that sell recipe unlocks, though these are pretty expensive early on. Ships can stack multiple engines and need additional balloons to reach higher altitudes. Co-op lets multiple people crew the same ship with different class roles, but solo works fine so far. Character customization exists, but it doesn't really matter for first person. The game is in early access, but seems pretty complete. The loop is flying to islands, exploring and fighting through dungeons, upgrading your ship, and unlocking higher altitudes with better challenges. The airship base setup is different from typical survival games, where you build a static home. Some parts could be clearer. Healing items being weak early on without explanation is annoying, and certain mechanics are not spelled out well. But if the idea of customizing a flying base and sailing through sky islands while looting ruins sounds good, then this is a pretty solid early access state. And this sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.